This conference will now be recorded.
Hi guys, good morning and good evening. I hope you are able to hear me. Can anyone please confirm?
Yes,
Yes,
boss.
Bhaskar.
Okay, 1 minute. My charger is less. Yeah, I'm sorry. So in the last session, I mean to say, as part of the demo, we have come across what kind of content that we are going to cover. In order to store the data, we are going to talk about Azure Data Lake Storage, and in order to process the data, we are going to use Azure Data Factory and Azure Databricks. So those two will be used to process the data, and for storage point of view, we are going to use ADLS, and for processing point of view, we are going to use ADF and ADB. So we are going to talk about these services more in detail. And before going to talk about cloud computing, let's talk about on-premise. So just for understanding, I wanted to take you through this. So on-premise means you are going to take care everything from your side. Okay, so you're going to have your own infrastructure. You're going to take care about networking. You're going to take care about administration. So each and everything that you have to take care if it is on-premise. Okay, so that is about on-premise. So on-premise refers to the traditional approach, hosting and managing IT infrastructure. So that means hosting and managing IT infrastructure at the same time. If you want to install any softwares, operating systems, upgradations, everything will be taken care from your side. So in order to reduce the cost, people are looking towards to the cloud platform. So we are not using now on-premise very frequently, okay, because to reduce the cost, and we need to effort more if it is an on-premise. Okay, so in this particular approach, organizations purchase, maintain, and operate their own servers, storage services, networking equipments, software applications. Everything will be taken care by you only. So to avoid cost cutting, we are going to talk about the cloud computing. So if I wanted to provide a solution for my, if I wanted to provide solution for my project, I can go and take the services from the cloud. So you are going to have a cloud. This cloud is going to have a fee services. whatever the services you require, that you can take it. You may take a database from here, or you may take analytic services, or you may take IoT services, or you may take storage services, or you can take DevOps services, or different kind of services we are going to have it. So this particular thing we can call it as cloud vendors. There are many cloud vendors in the market. Depends on your requirement, you can take a service from the respective cloud vendors. So when you wanted to take any service from here, you can take it based on pay as you go. So we don't have this kind of feasibility if it is on-premise. So on-premise is going to be taken care everything from your side. You need to have your own infrastructure, or you need to take all these things from the third party, or we can say third party data centers. We need to take it. So to avoid this, we can go to the public cloud and we can take the service from here. So the process of taking service from here, we can call it as cloud computing. So let's say I wanted to say here, this is the user or developer, we can say, or customer or developer. So this person is going to take the services from here, is going to take the services from this particular place. So the process of taking services from any cloud vendors, that we can call it as cloud computing. So in order to take the service from here, you need to have a account in the appropriate cloud vendor platform. Okay, so it's very easy. If you take the service, once you've done your work, you can take it out. You don't require to have the services continuously. But if you go for on-premise, once you buy a system, that system is for you only. But when it comes to the cloud, once it is done for your activities, if you are not interested to have all the computer, all the services, then you can give it to the cloud vendors itself, so that we can reduce the cost. So that is the benefit of this, and we don't require to install a softwares, we don't require to upgrade any softwares, and we don't require to install operating system. Okay, so everything will be taken care by cloud vendors itself. So that benefit if we are going to have if we go for the cloud computing. So cloud computing is a model where computing resources and services are delivered over the internet. So only if you can have a browser, you can access any service from there. We don't care about how exactly they are handling behind the scene. So I wanted to use the service to provide the solution. I wanted to use the service to provide the solution. That is the main important for us. So instead of maintaining their own infrastructure, organizations can access and utilize virtualized computing resources and services on demand. If you want to have a compute, you can take the compute. If you want to take the service, you can take the service. Okay, so there are three different types of services. They categorize the services. So cloud vendors are having services, they categorize the services, and depends on your business requirement, you can take the service. So what are the different types of categories that we are going to talk about it? So when you go for the cloud computing, we are going to have a scalability. The scalability, one of the situation I faced in my current project, I'll take you through the situation. So where we can go and increase the compute, and once you've done your activity, then we can downgrade it. So increasing the compute for processing, especially when you go for the testing. Okay, so for production, we are not going to care about it. We are ready to spend the amount for the production with a good configuration. But when you go for the development, it will be having less configuration. And when you go for the testing, we need to have a medium size configuration. So once the testing is done, then we can downgrade it. in order to reduce. So where exactly I face that I will talk about it. So scalability, that advantage you are going to get if you go for the cloud computing. And the cost efficiency, when you go and use the cloud services, we can reduce the cost. We can reduce the cost and we can reduce manpower and we can reduce many things. We don't care about it. So we can utilize the services for your activities and we can give it back to them. So all the services are going to be based on pay as you go. Whatever you have used, for that only you are going to pay. Okay, we don't require to pay if you are not using the compute. So that kind of feasibilities we are going to get as part of this cloud. And global accessibility means you can access the service from anywhere. You can access a service from anywhere. That means you can sit at any place and you can access any service. So irrespective of the location, you can access the services. So that is what it is saying, global accessibility. And agility and speed, we are going to have a speed, much more speed. We can deliver the product within the less period of time. And reliability and resilience, so how we can get this resilience is because we are going to have a replication. By using the replication we can provide the resilience. So how exactly it is going to be there, I'll talk about it when I go and talk about redundancy. All the services from the cloud vendors is going to be managed services. These are all the managed services. We don't care about it. Everything will be managed by cloud vendors itself. Let's say, for example, if we take ADF from here, if we take ADF from this particular place, what happens is we are not going to install ADF. We are not going to upgrade ADF. We are not going to take care anything for ADF. So that means this is managed service. We are not managing from our side. We are just using this service. So most of the services are going to be managed services from the cloud vendors. So that is what I'm just saying here. So those are all the features when you go for the cloud computing. So there are three different types of cloud deployment models. There were three different types of cloud deployment models. One is public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid cloud. So it depends on your requirement, you are going to use it. So public cloud, when you take Microsoft Azure or AWS or GCP, these are all public clouds. So public cloud means this is available for everyone, every individual. You can take, I can take, and a company also can take the services from here. So that means this public vendors or public cloud vendors are ready to sell the product to anyone else. For anyone, they're going to sell. So that is about the public cloud. And private cloud means, let's say for example, when it comes to here, I'm just going to say cloud vendors. Azure is a public cloud vendor, and AWS is public cloud vendor, and GCP is a public cloud vendor. So I can take the services, everyone can take the services from here. But when you go for the private cloud, how exactly it is going to be there, I'll talk about it. So few points, if you go for the public cloud, it open to all to store and access data and information via internet. So it is open to all. If you it is open to all to store the data and to access the data at the same time. If you want to process it, you can process it. So everyone can do it. So this public cloud is having a model called pay as you go. Whatever you have used, for that you are going to pay. So that feasibility we are having when you go to the public cloud. So whereas in the private cloud, we are not going to have it. All the services are managed by cloud vendor services. Okay, so this fundamental characteristic of public cloud is multi-tenancy. Okay, so you can access it can be accessed by multiple accounts. So we already seen the advantages of the cloud. It is managed by cloud service providers and location independent. We can access from anywhere, high scalability and cost effective. So these are all the advantages. Just for understanding, I'm just taking you through this. And private cloud, when you go to the private cloud, what happens is the cloud is going to be maintained by someone else, and they're also having a few services. And we can say this people is private cloud vendors. Same to same, the way how to we need to take all these things. Let me take here. It's more or less saying the only thing is these people will not give the services to everyone. So private cloud vendors are not going to give the services for each and everyone. So if I wanted to take any service from the private cloud vendors, I cannot take it. Okay, so I need to go as a like we need to go to this particular people to take the services. But if it is a public cloud, we don't require to go and talk to the Microsoft. We can directly take the services without talking to the Microsoft Azure. But here you have to talk to the specific persons. Let's say if you take TCS, they will be having their own data center. They will be having their own data center. So what they will do is depends on this client requirement. They will provide the services. Let's say for example, they wanted to take one Oracle database. Let me keep otherwise like this. They wanted to take Oracle database and they wanted to take Informatica, something like this, and they wanted to take some .NET application or something like this. Okay, so for this particular customer requirement, this private cloud vendors is going to provide the services accordingly as per the customer requirement. The only thing is this person is not ready to have their own infrastructure. They're not going to have an infrastructure, and this person will contact to these people and I have a so and so requirement, I wanted to get the solution for that. And these people is going to provide the plan and budget, how exactly it is and how they are going to provide the solution. Because if this person is not interested to go with the public cloud, then ultimately we need to go to the private cloud. So if this person is having their own infrastructure and own data center, then definitely the service providers are going to provide the service on their own infrastructure. So that is what the on-premise we can say. Of course, this is also is on-premise because this is not going to be available for everyone. So if this TCS is going to provide the service to this person, they will suggest to take the services from here. And when they take the database from here, so they are going to take the charges for year basis, not on pay as you go. We are not going to have a pay as you go here. We are going to have completely based on the year wise, whether you use it or not. If you take 200 TB space here, if you take 200 TB, let's say something like this, take a database size is 200 TB, then you have to pay for 200 TB. You used only 1 GB, but still you have to pay for entire 200 GB. Okay, so that kind of problems are there here because this is not managed by you. This is managed by third party people. Okay, so that is the difference between them, and we have a hybrid cloud also. So how exactly this hybrid cloud is going to work is fee services you are going to take it from cloud, and fee services you are going to take it from on premise. This entire thing we can call it as hybrid cloud. So depends on the client requirement. They may take the fee services from here, and they may take the fee services from the on premise. This is public cloud, this is on premise, or even private cloud. The combination of the platforms we are going to have. So why people will go for this kind of approaches to reduce the cost? If they go for everything in the on-premise, the cost will be more. So whatever the service they wanted to take it from the cloud, from the public cloud, they will take it. This all will be decided by the solution architects. Solution architects is going to be decide how exactly we wanted to provide the solution to the customer. So ultimately their end goal is to reduce the cost. Their end goal is to reduce the cost. So this is a hybrid cloud. So fee services will be managed by you and fee services will be managed by cloud services. So these are all the different kind of cloud platforms, deployment models we are having it. So private cloud services are accessible within the organization. You cannot access these services out of the organization. But when you go for the public cloud, you can access the services from anywhere. Out of the organization also you can do it. So all the services, whatever the services are having for TCS, those services are going to be provided to the TCS clients. Okay, so something like that I'm saying. So it belongs to a specific organization. They are not going to be available for others. It can be managed by third party like TCS. The advantages here is high security we can provide and data privacy. So these are all the just points, you can just go through that. And to access the services from the private cloud, will be having limitations. Okay, so private cloud is accessible within the organization, so the area of the operations are limited. High cost, the cost is more when you compare with public cloud, and limited scalability. So if you want to increase the compute, then it's not easy to do it. But whereas in a public cloud, it's very simple and easy to do it. Hybrid cloud is the combination of them. It's the features of public and private cloud. And critical activities will be provided by the private cloud if the client is not interested to move everything towards the public cloud. So conditions will be applied for this, and for non-critical activities we are going to do it with public cloud. So how do we know that is non-critical? We just ignore it, we are not going to be part of it. That will be taken care by infrastructure solution architects. Now the types of the services, if we take a Microsoft or anyone, any cloud vendors, they are going to provide the services in three different ways. So three different types of services we are having it. One is like SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS. These three set of services we are going to have it. SaaS, PaaS and IaaS. So as we are going to work as a data engineer, 99% we are going to use only PaaS services. Okay, most of the services from this area only we are going to work. So SaaS is software as a services and IaaS is infrastructure as a service. We are not going to be part of infrastructure. We are not going to be part of software as a services. We are going to be part of PaaS, platform as a service. So what are the services are there when you go to the Microsoft that I am going to talk about it. So SaaS, PaaS and IaaS. SaaS is software as a service. So software as a service means, let's say for example, if you take SharePoint, you're just going to use that. You will be having interface and you're just going to use it. If you want to store the data, you can store it. If you want to save the files, you can save the files from the SharePoint server. And if you take a Gmail, so Gmail is also is a software as a service. We are not going to install anything. Okay, so you can go and use it. So it is type of cloud computing services and it is a way of delivering services and applications over the internet. So maintenance of the software and hardware will be taken care by cloud vendors. We are not going to worry about it. We are just going to use that. We don't need to install the softwares in our machines if you use software as a service. So software as a service will be used by the users. We are not going to be part of it. And it is available on demand. These services we can use on demand basis and software will be upgraded automatically. We are not going to install, we are not going to do anything here. So all this will be useful for the only users. So Dynamic 365 or even Office 365 items we can say as a software as a service. Gmail, Google Drive, all those things comes under software as a service. So it reduces the cost of hardware and software maintenance because we are not going to take care about it. Example for that is Gmail, Outlook, SharePoint, Microsoft Power Services. So like this, we can have an example. Just for an idea, we are not going to be part of it. Just ignore even if you want. So how exactly it will be there? Okay, so where we are having software as a services, this is the place. We are not going to take care about anything. Everything will be taken care by cloud vendors. Everything will be taken care by cloud vendors. Okay, so installation, upgradation. So if you wanted to use the Gmail, we are just going to use the Gmail. We are not looking how exactly that is working or how exactly behind the scene it is happening. So for every application behind the scene, there will be some operating system. There will be some softwares, but we are not caring about it because that is a software as a service. They are providing a software as a service to you. And this particular section, I mean to say this SaaS services will be used for only business users, not for us. And the next is platform as a service. So when you go for platform as a service, the storage, virtualizations, operating systems, all these things up to here will be taken care by cloud vendors. Okay, so let's say for example, as part of this, we are going to say ADF, Azure Data Factory. We are not going to install this Azure Data Factory. Okay, so we are not going to see what operating system they have used. We cannot see that. We are just going to use it. We are going to create the application and we can deal with the data with the help of platform as a service. So example, I'm just saying most of the services that we are going to touch as part of data engineering comes under platform as a service. Platform as a service. So this will be used by developers. We're all the developers, and it provides a platform and environment to allow the developers to build the applications and services over the internet. So if you want to transform the data, how we can transform the data, and if you want to move the data from one place to another place, how we can move it by using the PaaS services, we are going to do it. You'll be having a platform. So when you use this service, you're going to get a platform. Because of that reason, they're saying platform as a service. They will provide the platform, but you have to provide the solution for your activities, or for your data. You need to provide the solution. So it offers development and deployment tools required to develop the applications. We can have a development and deployment as part of the services. And PaaS services are hosted in the cloud, accessed by the users via web browsers, and no control over the infrastructure. We don't have any control over the infrastructure. So because of that reason, we can say it is a PaaS service. And no operating system is required to access the PaaS services. If we have a browser, we can access it. We don't require any software, we don't require any operating systems to access the PaaS services. So advantages is cost efficiency. We can reduce the cost like anything. The example is, if you take a database from the cloud, the cost of the database is very less when you compare with on-prem database. Okay, so you can see that I'm going to talk about Microsoft Azure SQL Server. Okay, so where we can see, if you go for on-premise, the cost will be very huge. When you go for the platform as a service, the cost is very less. So no need to purchase expensive servers and softwares or data storages. So data storage also I can take it from them, and servers also I can take it from them, and softwares also I can take it as a platform as a service. So I don't need to purchase it. Once I have used, then I can give it back if I'm not interested to continue. And you can scale up and down at any point of time. You can scale up if you need, and you can scale down. Okay, I have a one database. Okay, basically we have a ADF project. So that means ADF jobs are there in three different environments. We're having it. So we have a dev, we have a testing, and we have a prod. For development, we are using basic configuration here, and the data of this development environment is very less. We don't require to process millions of records. Even if you process 10 records is fine. You need to get the solution. But if you want to test the performance, or if you wanted to test the exactly the real-time data, then you have to go to this area, testing. So when you go for testing, the database size, okay, the compute, we have to basically, when I'm not doing any testing, so when we are going to do the testing is, since the project is already running, whenever there is a changes in the requirement, then we need to do the changes and we have to test it. Is that working as expected or not? So in order to test it, I need to read the data from the testing database, and I need to load the data into the testing database. So the compute power, these are the on-prem, I mean to say upstream systems we are having, different kind of systems we are having, but we don't have any control on this side, but we have a control on this side. If you are not doing any testing, the size of the database or the compute power is S0. So S0 is going to have 250 GB space it is getting, and 10 DTUs are getting. So what is this 10? What is this DTU? I'll talk about it. When I'm going to talk about Azure SQL Server, you can understand what is this S0 and S1, S2 and so on. If you run the job with this configuration, it will take for days. So I spent one day and still it is going and it is not completed. But basically that particular job has to be finished at least in 5 hours because we are not taking a good configuration. The same job, if you run from here, it will go within the 40 minutes, it is going to be finished because we have a huge configuration here. So what they suggested is when you are doing the testing at that particular point of time, you have to increase from S0 to S4. You have to increase the compute. You have to scale up from S0 to S4. So when you do this, how much size we used to get is, I'm not sure about this GB, but I'm sure about this 250 DTUs, you're going to get it. If 250 DTUs are going to get. Okay, so this may be 500 GB or 400 GB is there, but I'm sure about this 250 DTUs you're going to get it. And when you run the job now, it takes less time. For testing, this is up to recommended because they have given this benchmark to use or to upscale your compute power in order to process your job. Once this is completed, your testing, once your testing is completed, if you are not going to test, then you can downgrade it. You have to, the person who has upgraded is responsible to bring down from S4 to S0. S4 to S0. So this kind of mechanism, we call it as a budget friendly. Okay, so pay as you go, at the same time budget friendly. If you want to increase, you can increase. If you want to decrease, you can decrease. That is what it is saying. Scale up and down at any point of time. And softwares will be managed by cloud vendors only. So when you install SQL Server, we are not going to, when you take any SQL Server from Azure, we are not going to install it. We are not going to upgrade. Automatically, it will be upgraded. And it is easy deployment of services. And when you see here, that is what we talked about it. So up to here will be taken care by managed vendors, and this will be managed by you. And the third service we are having is infrastructure as a service. We are not going to be part of it. We are not going to be part of it. So here infrastructure as a service means, let's say I wanted to have my own service. I wanted to have my own software. I don't want to go with this everything into the cloud. Okay, so if I have an Oracle database on a premise, I wanted to bring my Oracle database as it is. The only thing is, I don't want to buy the compute. I wanted to use your compute. I wanted to use my Linux operating system. I wanted to use my Oracle database. I wanted to use my different softwares which are not provided by Azure or specific cloud. So I'm just taking infrastructure. I wanted to take the compute power only. So if this is the case, then we can go for this. So they will take care about the networking, the storage, servers and virtualization. So you can take the virtual machines from the cloud vendors. On top of the virtual machines, you can have your own operating system. Whatever the operating system you wanted to install, you can install it. On top of it, whatever the softwares you wanted to install, you can install it. So everything will be controlled by you only. The software's point of view will be controlled by you only. Only thing is you are not going to take care about infrastructure. Infrastructure will be taken care by cloud vendors. So this kind of platforms also you're going to have it. Let's say for example, if you have a Hadoop project. So Hadoop is on-premise. I don't want to have my own infrastructure. Let's go and take the infrastructure from here. Okay, so like this, if the requirement demands to take only compute, then you can also take the compute from the cloud vendors. So that is what the infrastructure as a service. Infrastructure as a service, it provides the infrastructure. They are not going to provide any software. And these services will be used by system administrators and network architects. And it simply provides the underlying operating system. And if you need operating system, you can take it. But even if you wanted to install your own operating system, you can also install it. Security, networking, and servers for developing applications. Okay, so everything you are going to take care about it. The only thing is you are going to use the infrastructure. For infrastructure also you can pay as you go. We can scale up and down resources as per your requirement. Even if we go for infrastructure, you can also do the same thing. If you want to increase the compute power, you can increase, and if you want to decrease the compute power, you can decrease it. And finally, we have a traditional on-premise. So if it is on-premise, everything you have to take it. Right from the bottom, you have to take it till the top. So that is about the different types of services we are having it. So in order to take any service from here, especially we are going to talk about Microsoft Azure, then we need to have a subscription. If you want to take the services from the Microsoft Azure, you want to take the ADF from here, you need to have an account in this. If you are tenant of the Microsoft Azure, then you can go inside. Once you go inside the cloud platform, then you can try to take the service. So if you want to take the service, first of all, if you want to log into this environment, you need to have an account. That account we can also call it as a tenant. So that means you need to be tenant of Microsoft Azure in order to go inside the Microsoft Azure. Once you go inside the Microsoft Azure, if you want to take the services from the Microsoft Azure, then you need to have an account. Sorry, a subscription you require. To go inside, we require account, and to take any service from the Microsoft Azure, then you need to have a subscription. Subscription is required. If you don't have a subscription, you cannot take the service from here. The subscription decides your billing. How much bill you are going to get is based on your subscription, based on your usage. So one account can have a multiple subscriptions. Depends on the usage of your subscription is going to get the bill here. So in order to create the account, you need to have, you can use your Gmail account or you can use Outlook account also. If you have an Outlook account, you can directly go inside the portal. If you have a Outlook account, you can directly go into the portal. If you have a Gmail account, if you have a Gmail account, then you have to create a Microsoft account. By using this Gmail account, you can create a Microsoft account. Then by using this Gmail, you can go inside this. Okay, so to create your Microsoft account, even you can use Gmail account also. So once you go inside, then you can take the services. So subscription, you are going to have something, subscription is required. The subscription is having two different types of subscriptions. One is free trial, free trial subscription, and pay as you go. Or we can say paid subscription. Pay as you go subscription or free trial subscription. If you go for free trial, this will be available for 1 month. This will be available for 1 month, and once that is completed, you can go to the pay as you go, and whatever the services used, you need to pay the amount from your account. So in order to create the subscription, forget about either it is free or pay. If you want to create a subscription, you can use either credit card, and you can also use the fee or debit cards. If it is allowing to provide the details by using the debit card, you can provide. If it is not allowing, then it is not going to allow. And you can use the credit card. Okay. So without having this card details, you cannot create a subscription. So once you complete your free trial, do not go for the pay as you go, and do not create the account at this point of time. I'll tell you when you wanted to create an account. So when I'm going to start talking about Azure Data Factory ADF, then you can take a subscription. Till then, do not go and create an account. Okay, because it is going to be waste. Your days is going to be wasted, and from here we are going to see more uses of your subscription. So you can create an account at the time of ADF. So till then, you just listen what or how exactly we are going to do it. Okay, so here I'm stopping, and we are going to see how we can create an account, and how we can get the subscription on tomorrow. In the same time, and the resources groups and how exactly it is going to be there, that I'm going to talk about it. Okay, so this we have talked, and we are going to see Azure introduction, the portal introduction, and how exactly the hierarchy will be there, that I'm going to talk about, specific to the Azure, that I'm going to talk on tomorrow's session. Any questions before stopping? Last 5 minutes is for questions.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Hello. Yeah, hi sir, this is Tejashwini.
Yes.
Uh, I have questions on in the public cloud. You said the word multi-tenancy. What is that
Mhm.
word refers to?
So that will be said to multiple persons. Let's say ADF, if you take, one person is not going to work. As a team, we are going to work to provide the solution. So that can be said by multiple accounts. Multiple accounts means multiple tenants.
Okay, that means multiple people can work
X,
in the
X,
subscription
exact. Not yeah. In the subscription, I mean to say on the same service.
service.
With the
Okay.
same service, multiple people can work.
Okay,
So that
got it.
service will be under the one subscription only.
Yeah, yeah, got it. There is some access to the services, right? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
And there is in private cloud, you said like it will be managed by the vendors. So if I have a service in the private cloud on the business point of view, so I can scalable the storage or I
You can
cannot.
scalable. You can. But you need to talk to the, let's say you're taking services from TCS. Okay,
Okay,
so you have to check with them. They have to provide.
that's
So
what
that
I'm
is
asking.
not.
I have to,
You can
okay, I have
increase
to
it.
okay, I have
You
to
have to
talk
check
with
with them.
them and take.
Exactly, exactly. It's not with our own go.
Okay. Yeah, on the training, I have a few questions. Can I ask here?
Yeah, please. Yeah, please.
Like after these two sessions, class will be same like this, or you'll be in a hands-on project you'll be taking, or
We
after
are going
topic by
to we are going to have a completely hands-on. Okay, for first
okay.
2 to 3 sessions will be theory will be there. Okay,
Yeah,
so slightly partially will be started from next session onwards. But once we start the data factory, it is completely what we can say. It is hands-on only completely.
okay. That means topic by topic you'll set, and you'll
Exactly.
be clear with the
Exactly.
students, right? Is it clear
Exactly.
or not?
Exactly.
Okay. And okay. And one more thing, sir, in data engineering, normally you creating the pipelines and you getting the data, you separating it. But moreover, that you have to use the program PySpark and Python to transform this data, right? So it will be
Yes.
complex coding, or it will be, the average medium coding like everyone can do once you learn the course.
Everyone can do. It's not much complex when you compare with Hadoop. Hadoop is like hundreds of lines of the code we need to write to process it. But
Okay.
when you go for the PySpark, we can reduce the number
Mhm.
of lines of the code.
Okay, so nowadays we can write the code with the Python and the Spark using pandas
Yes,
libraries and all.
exactly.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I just have that doubt whether I have to jump this data engineering or not. People saying that you need to have a very most prominent coding skills, but I worked in Infosys, but we didn't have that much coding, so I have
We
little
don't
bit.
require. Even most of the data engineering engineers are not going to be
You
are
just
not
have
going
to
to
be
be
cloud. Yeah.
yes, yeah,
Okay.
because we don't require to write that much code now. Okay, so we have a Databricks, right? So Databricks uses the PySpark.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so where we can write the less number of codes. But if you do the same thing, let's say for example, word counting,
Mm.
when you do the word count in MapReduce,
Mm.
you have to write lines of code. But if you do the
Mm.
same thing in Databricks, with just 2 lines, we can do it.
Yeah. Word counting. Yeah.
Yeah, so that much simple it is. And when you say, when I'm going to talk about based on the use cases basis, then you can easily understand how we can break it into pieces
You have to
and how we
transform
can
the
get the
data.
solution. Yeah, you're right.
Okay. It's just we have to transform the data, right? Data engineers, once you get the data, and then
Yes,
push it to the cloud.
yes, yes.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Anyone else? Any question?
Hey Bhaskar, this is Manoj. Just have a
Yeah,
couple
Manoj.
of questions. So the first question is, on a high level, what is the difference between AWS-based data engineer versus Azure-based data engineer? And the second question is, so we talked about private cloud services, public cloud services. So
Mhm.
eventually, all of them will have a data centers at different locations. Is that assumption correct?
You're right. That is right. You will be they will be having their own data centers, and you're going to take the services from them.
Okay.
And difference between this AWS and Azure is having their own services to process your big data. The same way, AWS also having their own services. And between these two services, the common service is Azure, Databricks is common. So Databricks is associated with Azure, and they named it as Azure Databricks. And there's people even associated with AWS also. So that means if you know Azure Databricks, you can work with AWS or you can work with any kind of platform. So they associated with three different cloud vendors: Azure, AWS, and GCP. So that is the benefit. But when you go for data factory, so data factory is specifically designed for Azure. Okay. So, but the concepts are same. When you go for any ETL tools in the market or any ETL services, the approach is similar. The requirement will be similar, but way of doing is different. Okay, in some places, little slight UI will be there. In some places, it will be more on UI. When you go for data factory, it is code-free ETL. So we don't
Okay.
require to write a code.
Okay. So it would be more like a drag and drop or something.
Exactly, exactly. You're right.
Oh, yeah, understood. Yeah, thanks a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else who's stopping?
Sorry. So will you provide the class notes, sir, or do we have to note it down?
We are going to provide. Okay, so
Okay, you
wherever
talk.
it is possible, we are going to provide. And in some places, when you take it programmatic, like when you write from your side, especially from the Databricks. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so that you have to take care. And whenever there is a practical things that you have to
Mm-hmm.
go through the recorded session, because for
Okay,
that
recorded
navigations
session.
and all, we cannot provide the note for that. So you will be having recorded, and you can follow the recorded.
Okay.
And for practicing, the data sources and all will be provided to you.
Yeah, you only provide the recordings. You will not provide any manuals or anything.
No, because
Oh,
let's say for example, when you use data factory, we need to create a link services. If I
yeah,
say go there and click there, this will be,
yeah,
it's highly impossible. So when you
yeah.
start doing the practice by looking towards the recorded, that will help you. But I'm going to talk about what is this connection manager, how you can create it, so what are the different ways are there, all those things I'm going to talk.
Yeah, recordings is helpful just to make sure
Yeah,
that I can take some notes or you have to provide. That's it. Thank you.
yeah, a few things are there, but few things you have to go through the recorded.
Yeah, 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 sure. Yeah. So it will be 1 hour class on everyday
it,
basis, or is there any particular days?
it will be from Tuesday to Saturday, weekly,
Okay,
weekly 6 days.
okay. Thank you.
6 days or 5 days? 5 days it is.
Yeah, two
Sunday, Monday
days.
is Sunday.
Yeah,
I mean to say from IST I'm saying, but if you're there in PST, that will be
yeah,
weekdays only.
yeah. I'm in EST. Like I think I have
Then for
classes
you, it
maybe.
is a weekdays.
Yeah, half an hour I'll be late to the class sometimes.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's 7
If I
a.m.
take it,
IST.
I'll.
Yeah, you can have this
Yeah.
recorded. You can go through that.
Yeah, 2 days I have classes in university, so that's it.
Okay, okay,
I'll let you know, sir, later. Yeah.
okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, then thank you for joining, and we'll see you tomorrow.